So I think, Linda, did you have anything on propane, on using
I do. First of all where is your propane detector? And sometimes they're not always in the kitchen where it's an ideal place for them to be. Quite often, like mine, it's in the bedroom underneath the closet. And if the slide out is in, I can't get to it at all. One of the things that if you have a dual detector, which is propane and carbon monoxide combined, these are a tough one to handle because the propane is heavier than air. So the propane will be at the bottom of the rig and the carbon monoxide is lighter than air. So it's going to be up higher. And so they're not compatible. So what I do is I have a separate carbon monoxide detector that I take from the house to out in the RV so that I wake up every morning. The other thing is if you're using propane, furnace, for instance, when you're sleeping or you're using a small propane heater, you need to have a window cracked somewhere near where you sleep. Obviously, that sounds like the bedroom, just so that you get fresh air, a tiny bit of fresh air in there so that, again, you wake up the next morning. Things to use your propane for in lieu of electricity. Obviously, if you have a propane stove or a propane oven, there's another way to cook food. Another way is a propane grill where you can cook outside and barbecue your meat and your vegetables. Some ladies have a propane campfire so that they can have a little campfire without smoke. Mm-hmm. All of those things are what we would call optional. If you are using the small propane heaters, you need to figure a bottle, those little bottles, a bottle a night. Mm-hmm. And you will be thrilled if you make it through the whole night before it burns out. If you good place to store them is outside in a bay where they're safe and they're not going to bounce around too much as you're traveling down the road. Again, Jen already mentioned about heating up the water for your coffee and your tea and your soup. And again, you can do this nicely on the gas stove. Bring, if you need to, if you have a smaller coach, is to bring extra gallons of bottles of water, and you can put them in the shower or the bathtub for traveling. You want to use this as for your drinking and your cooking. And contrary, I'm going to disagree with Jan a little bit on this. I'm not going to use my good water for the toilet. I am going to use my water pump and use that water that's been in the tank forever. And I save my gallons of water for actually drinking for me and the dogs and everything else. So then I don't have to use the water that's in the tank. Whatever you do, again, if you're using the water pump for anything, I recommend that you turn it off when you're done using it, especially turn it off before you go to bed, because your neighbor is going to hear it cycle potentially all night long. It's enough for us to listen to each other's furnaces without adding the water heater to it. Let me see, Jan. Let me see if the insulation is. Oh, I'll just go ahead and do that. I've got it. Another way for you can keep from having to use so much propane or your heater, either way you want to do it, is be sure that when it starts to get dark, which 5 o'clock is going to be your time of sunset out there, be sure that you have turned off the dash vents when you park the coach. And again, there's just should be a switch either up or down or a button that will close the vents so that you don't get the outside air coming in. You can hang a blanket across the front seats, especially if you have a Class C or a Class B. I have a Class A, and so that really doesn't work well for me. What I do is I hang a big bath towel over the handle on my screen door, and I let it hang all the way down to the bottom of the door. And that just keeps, those doors are really not very well insulated if you're lucky. And so the door can be very cold. So again, this just helps me block some of the cold air from around the door. All those good things that have been mentioned to keep you warmer in bed. If you are one that loves an electric blanket at home and you're going to use your generator at all at night, if you put the blanket on the bed and turn it on when your generator's on, you can warm up the bed a little bit so that when you get in there, it's nice and warm and you won't get cold before you go to sleep. If you have ceiling vents, which nearly everybody has, they do sell the vent pillows that fit exactly in those vents. And I do have one in the bathroom and in the kitchen area. But another thing that you can do, if you have a kind of a bulky pillow that's around 14 inches square, it will probably fit up there in that vent space. And it's amazing how much warmer you can keep your coach by just blocking that vent up. I think that's all I have under that.